Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome to my little corner of the internet where I talk about my cross stitching. If you are new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back to spend a little bit of time with me today. Wow, it's April 27th and we are into quarantine week 7 here in New York. Thank you so much to everyone who checked in with me to see how we were doing. I know that the news coming out of the city has been something. Has been a little scary, but we are well. My husband and I are well. Our families are well. Um, Everybody's healthy. Baby is healthy. Cats are healthy. We're healthy. We're doing okay. We're hanging in there. Um, we're definitely starting to feel a little stir crazy some days, and there have been some days where I've been feeling a little blue. Yesterday in particular, I felt pretty down all day, but for the most part, we are hanging in here, and I hope you guys are too. So, what have I been up to since the last video? I have no FFOs to show you. I know in my last video I said that I was, at that time, I was spending about an hour every morning FFOing, or trying to work through my pile of finishes and FFO things, and since I recorded that video, that's gone out the window. Pretty much everything I had planned or whatever schedule I was sticking to in my last video, I went out the window as soon as I stopped recording. But plans are made to be broken, right? So the reason I have no FFOs to show you is because I decided to take a little break from FFOing to work on a quick and easy table runner project that I thought would take me a week. It took me like 5 weeks. It's pretty much the only thing I've been sewing since the last time I saw you, but I finished it and I'll show it to you. So this table runner came as a kit from Connecting Threads. I think it was like the farm, Patchwork Farm. I'll link it below if it's still available for purchase. So here it is, all finished. Let me see that. This was neither quick nor easy. I mean, I'm still learning to quilt. I'm still a super beginner. So maybe that was my mistake. It was advertised as a beginner kit, but not so much. I will, I'm never going to do anything with 1-inch squares again. Holy cow, was that frustrating. But you know, I think it turned out really nicely. There's definitely some spots where the points don't line up and the seams don't line up, but let's try and get this all in here one more time. For the most part, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I learned a lot. I've seen like on Instagram and on Facebook, there are some other stitchers out there who are learning to quilt right now as well. And if you're a beginner like I am, I really recommend this one YouTube channel, which I'll link below, called the Sewing Room channel. Her videos are fantastic. They're very step-by-step. She has really detailed instructions. Pretty much each video is either a block or a project. You know, she has everything from like pot holders to video series to make a full quilt. They're all beginner friendly. Her instructions are very detailed. You know, this kit and most kits that I've seen so far just come with instructions that say, you know, the last step is quilt and bind it. And if you're not familiar, if you've never quilted before, you're like, what does that mean? But that YouTube channel, the Sewing Room channel, has a very excellent video on how to bind. And you know, if it wasn't for her videos, I would have had a really hard time lining up lining up the points and the squares on this kit because the instructions weren't detailed enough. But her instructions are super detailed. So if you are new to quilting, or if you're struggling with anything sewing wise, or you're new to sewing, I'll link her below. She's fantastic. Okay, so no FFOs to show you, but I do have 5 finishes to show you. I know. So I've been busy. I've been stitching a lot, and I've been mostly monogamous this whole time. So the first finish I have to show you is Afternoon in York. Yeah, I was working on this the last time I filmed, and I will insert a picture here of where you saw it last time. And then here it is, all complete. So this is stitched, this is by Country Cottage Needleworks. It is stitched 2/2 using all the called for flosses on Silk Weaver Morning Mist, a 32 count. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. I used all the called for colors with the exception of the hot dog. I used the color that was called for, didn't look right. So I don't know if you can see it. The color that was called for was the same color that is used in the roof up here, and that just seemed too brown for me for a dirty water dog. Hot dogs in New York City are boiled, they're not grilled, or the ones you get, you know, from hot dog carts. We call them dirty water dogs. So it was the wrong color. So I used I just pulled from my floss box. I think that was Cinnabar by Weeks Dye Works, and then I added, I don't know if you can see it, I added a little yellow squiggle of mustard to it, because you gotta put mustard on a dirty water dog. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this turned out. It's stitched up pretty quick, you know. I basically, when I was working on it, I was like, oh, I'll just finish this building. And then I still felt like working on it. So I was like, oh, I'll just, you know, finish the Empire State Building. And then once the Empire State Building was done, I realized that I was 2/3 of the way done with the project. So I just decided to stitch on it till it was complete. So that's a year of whip project finished. I'm doing really well on year of whips. I have to complete 20 to complete the challenge, and so far this year I've completed 11. So I'm in a good spot because it's not even May. The next project I worked on was a start to finish. This was In Her Garden by Lucy Beam. So that's what the chart photo looks like. I didn't have like any of the called for colors, so I just pulled random threads from stash. This stitched up in like 4 days. It was really quick. If you're interested in the colors I used, I can tell you what they were, but I just pulled random colors from my stash based on the cover photo. I'm really happy with how she turned out. This is stitched 1/2 on, I think this is 36 count Carrera Marble by Color and Cotton. Yeah. She's so fun. She's so cheerful. She's got straight stitches in her dress. So I was just feeling spring, you know? The next thing I finished was I pulled out Pomegranate Study by Needlework Press. I got this on the freebie table at the retreat, the Flosstube retreat over the summer. And I didn't have any of the called for colors, so I pulled from my stash. This is stitched 2/2 on 28 count Cyprium linen by Picture This Plus. The red is a Color and Cotton Hollyberry. The green is, let's see there. The green is Color and Cotton think evergreen. I have to look. And the yellow is a Threadworks. So I actually, I ran out of the called for green with, I don't know, like a couple motifs to go. So what I did was I knew I was running out kind of like as I was over here working on this side. So, and I knew I wasn't going to make it. So I made sure to get a little bit of the color I had been using on all of these motifs all around here. You know, I did like a little bit of every leaf and every vine, and a little bit in here. So I made sure that the color I had been using across the whole piece was used at least once in all the motifs. And then when I was totally out, I went through my stash and I pulled out Color and Cotton Pumpkin Vine. Was very close to some of the darker shades of the green color I had been using. It wasn't an exact match, but there were parts that were super close. So I was able to use that to fill in wherever I was missing stitches. And I think it looks okay. Like I don't think you can actually tell at all where one color is and where the other begins. So if you're ever running out and you don't think you're going to make it, if you can sprinkle it in enough and then find a close color, because the Color and Cotton color I was using was a limited edition and there was no way I was going to be able to get another skein of that. So I'm happy with how that turned out. That's going to go somewhere in the kitchen here, I think. After that, I was tired of stitching brown or stitching on brown, and I was tired of red and I was tired of green. I really wanted some pink. So I pulled out, my brother-in-law for Christmas gave me this little flamingo kit. And I pulled that out. The kit came with like a white Aida, but I subbed that out for, this is, I think it's Weeks. It's either Weeks or Witchelt because it's like the stiffest fabric in the world. So stiff it gives me like paper cuts. It's 32 count Riviera Aqua. I think it's Witchelt, but I used it instead of the kit fabric. And obviously this is like a weird cut of it. And I definitely like totally screwed up where I placed it on the fabric because it was like, I've totally wasted this fabric down here. I don't know. Mistakes were made. Oops, that's the back. That's the front. Mistakes were made, but I'm happy with how it turned out. I don't know. This took like a day or two. It was a quick, cheerful stitch with pink and yellow, and yeah. So I whipped that out. That was a nice little $5 credit for Stitch from Stash that I needed. And then I figured I better try and get another whip done before Maynia starts. So I pulled out Parlor Treats, which you can find in the February 2017 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. I had previously completed one of them and needed to complete the second one. I will insert a picture here of where it was when you saw it last time. And then here it is, all finished. So this is stitch 2/2 on 32 count. This is Weigart linen. I think it's called Petty Point, or it might be blue. It's the blue Petty Point color, I think is what it's called. Let's see if you can get a good focus in there. Yeah, there we go. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So that one's all finished. So that is everything I've finished. Those are all 5 finishes I've had since I've seen you last. Whip-wise, so the last time I saw you, I had these grand plans of having a morning project and an afternoon project and an evening project. I was supposed to be working on Deco Spirits every night. That went out the window. 3 projects was too much for me one day. It was too much, and I was really feeling like finishing things, and I'm still feeling like finishing things. I'm still feeling pretty monogamous. So I don't know, it's what's working, so that's what I've been doing. So I have been working a little bit every morning on Froth and Bubble still. This is by Long Dog Samplers. I started this for the Long Dog Leap Year Sal. And I've gotten quite a lot done. I'll insert a picture here of where you saw it last time. And then here it is now. So I've completed the whole first page and I've started into the second page. I'm doing this 1/2 on 40 count. I think this is pearl gray linen. Oh, I love these colors. I love this one so much. I've been pretty much working on this every day for like at least 30 minutes every morning. Sometimes I get a little longer, sometimes less. Wow, 30 minutes a day, you can really do a lot, huh? I mean, some days I haven't felt like it and I've, something else has been screaming my name, so I didn't work on it, but for the most part, I've been working on this a little bit every day. I don't think I will be working on this anymore because we're about to start Maynia. I don't know, I'll see how I'm feeling. I'll show it to you one more time. Are those colors great? This is all just the call for DMC. Love those butterflies. So, and it's really, what's really fun with this one is I like to take a couple days and like do a bunch of the black outline and then a couple days and like color it in. That's always fun in the morning when you're sleepy and drinking your coffee and all you have to do is color it in. So I worked on that a little bit every morning. And then in the afternoons, I've been, for the most part, focusing on finishing things. But this past weekend was 24 hours of cross stitch. Which I did. I did all 24 hours, but I did it over 3 days. I'm no hero. It's always crazy to me how fast the 24 hours goes. Like it seems like a lot of time, but even if I sit and stitch for 10 hours a day, it still takes me 3 days to complete the 24 hours. I'm team sleep. I'm totally useless after 11 p.m. Totally useless. So I'm team sleep, but in any case, I spent 24 hours. I wanted to spend 24 hours working on one project, and I kind of hummed and hawed about what to work on. Should I try and finish something? Should I not? And then ultimately I decided it would be probably good to get 24 hours into my oldest whip. My oldest whip, which I started as like a wedding sampler type project in 2016. And then I restarted in 2017, and it's just been hanging on and hanging on. It's a pattern from Etsy, which I don't think is available anymore. I will insert a photo here of what it looks like complete. It doesn't really have a title. I just call it my wedding wreath. But I'll insert a picture here where you saw it the last time as well. And here it is now. So I got a lot done in 24 hours. I've now completed 2 whole pages out of 6 on this. So I'm a third of the way through the project. So that's kind of inspiring. It's this is stitched 1/2 on I think 32 count linen in Silvery Moon. It's turning out okay. This chart was obviously computer generated and never stitched or edited because there's a lot of issues in the chart. It's hard to read. It uses numbers instead of symbols, and there's no overlap in the page breaks. But not only is there no overlap, that actually some of the page breaks are missing rows. If you go to count, like there's an entire row missing between down here. There's an entire row missing between the bottom of this page and the next page that I'm just going to have to figure out what should go in there and fudge it. But it's turning out pretty well. It's getting easier for me to read the chart and figure out where things are going. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back and backstitch it or not, to like bring out some more dimension in like these thistles and leaves. I don't know. I'll see how I feel about the whole thing after everything is stitched. There's no backstitching on the chart, so I would have to kind of like wing it anyway. So I'll see how I feel. But I really love the colors, and I think my plan for this, my original plan was to put some of our boughs in the middle. I don't know. I'm no longer feeling that. I think I'm going to just put a big L for our last name and turn this into a cushion. Because the colors are pretty and it's floral, and I love floral. So there's that. But I got all that done in 24 hours. I'm pretty impressed with myself. Pretty much this whole page here. So that will probably go away for a little bit longer. And then the only other whip I have to show you is what I have been focusing on recently. We're due with a baby in September. Our nursery plan or nursery theme is donuts and ice cream, because those are some of my favorite things. And you know, when I bought this pattern, I'd always intended this to be like something to go in a nursery. Bum Bears, or the Sweet Bears by Soda Stitch, which Adele made popular by calling it the Bum Bears. So my plan was always to put this in a nursery. I started this years ago, didn't get much done. So recently I kind of realized if I wanted to get it done in time, I better get moving on it. I would love to have this done by mid-June so I can frame it and hang it. I will insert a picture here of where it was when you saw it last time in my whip parade. So I pulled this out and I started working on it, and I had started in the middle and I got this far. This is 32 count Lugana by Picture This Plus. I know, you'll see, you know where this is going, right? In the colorway Confetti. As I mentioned in my last video, I struggle with 32 count Picture This Plus because I find the weave just like slightly too tight from the dyeing process for 2 stitches. So I got this far on it and I was like, ugh, should I change the fabric? I don't like this fabric. We just went through this with Afternoon in New York. Do I want to struggle on this? And I finished the tablecloth and I was working along and I was thinking, oh, it's not so bad. And then I started working on this cupcake over here, which is this cupcake here. And I was thinking, this feels kind of close to the edge. Like, is this not centered properly? So I got out my counting pins, and this fabric is not big enough for this design. It's long enough, but it's not, but barely. And it's definitely not wide enough. I was only going to have like a 1/2 inch margin. So I was like, how did that happen? How did I have the wrong, like, what did I do? I realized. So I'm going to flash you the chart, but calm down. It's okay. So the color key for this project is on this page. Also on this page is like this you know, like most Soda Stitches, there's the full chart, and then they offer you like a smaller version of the chart, which is just the top half if you wanted to do a pillow or something. The chart itself you have to unfold to read. But the color key is on this page. There's this smaller chart on this page, and then what I did was I looked at the stitch count up here. That stitch count is for the smaller chart, but that's the stitch count I used to buy the fabric, which is much smaller than the full chart. So, I mean, I could have maybe just done the smaller chart and called it a day. It would have been done faster. But I mean, like, really, the best part about this whole design is this bear here. Like, let's be serious. This is the bum bear, the bear with its bum out, and that is the bear I care about most in this whole design. And if he wouldn't have fit on this fabric. So, in a 1, 2, 3 stitch order, I ordered another piece of fabric in 28 count, which came eventually, took a minute. God, I feel 1, 2, 3 stitch are the heroes we didn't know we needed, right? Like they, them and all the LNSs really. Like I just got to take a moment to shout out all these people who are probably pumping out a zillion orders a day, because all of us are like, oh shit, I ran out of DMC 347 and Michael's is closed. And they're probably like understaffed and totally swamped, and they're doing their best, and they're being so polite, and they're communicating so well. And like, shout out to 1, 2, 3 Stitch, to Traditional Stitches in Alberta, who has been great, to Jen's Stitching Niche, who she mailed things so fast. Just shout out to all the LNSs, right, who are getting us through. Anyway, it took a minute because they're swamped, but my 1, 2, 3 stitch order came. I got a piece of fabric the right size. This is also, picture this plus confetti, but it is 28 count Lugana, and this is how much I have done. So I started from the top this time, and this is this bear here from the top of the cake, and I got started a little bit on this cupcake down there, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. It's stitching up faster than I thought it would. This is like about a week's worth of work, working mostly on this. And I don't think it'll be impossible to get it done by the end of June, especially if I stick to my Maynia plans. So let's talk about Maynia, because this is my last whip. So for Maynia, I wasn't sure what to do, and you know, it's hard because I have no idea what's going to happen in May. Like, will I go back to work? Probably not. But maybe, like, I kind of thought the stay-at-home order was going to end by May 1st. It's now extended to May 15th. Who knows what's going to happen, where we'll be, what social events I'll be able to go to. So I had a hard time deciding what to do for Maynia because there's so much unknown, you know. A Maynia, it's impossible to do a traditional Maynia if I'm working. So anyway, all that to say, as I was trying to figure it out, Stephanie from Lindy Stitches posted a video where she talked about doing Stitch Sania. And basically her idea is you take one whip and you focus on that during the week, and you set a goal each week. And if you achieve that weekly goal, you get to have a new start on the weekend. Perfect. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to focus on this whip for all of May, and I'm going to set a weekly goal. I think my goal, I broke up the chart, and if I do 40 rows a week, I can complete the stitching of this at least by the end of May, if I can do 40 rows a week. I mean, that's a lot of stitches, especially as you work down the chart and get down here. You know, like the first 40 rows up here end where this bears the bottom of the strawberry. That's not that much, but like down here, that's a bigger shelf. So that's kind of what I'm going to aim for. I don't know. I'll adjust my goal each week based on what I think is going to go on that week, and that'll allow me to be a little bit flexible. My goal for this week is basically to complete all the way across the 40 stitches mark, or complete the second bear that's down here, one or the other. So if I complete that, I'll get to have a new start on the weekend. Okay, so that is it for whips. I'll talk a little bit more about Maynia in just a second, but really quick, let's talk about retirement planning. So first of all, I got some really nice stitchy kindness from Jennifer and Renee at Gzells needlework. I will link their Flosstube below. They sent me a message saying that they wanted to send out some, like, just a little spring happy to cheer people up. And boy, let me tell you, I needed it, and it came on a really blue day, and it cheered me up so much. So thank you so much, Renee and Jennifer. I can't thank you enough. So first of all, they sent me this really lovely card, which is it looks like these are Kitten Stitcher cards, so with a nice note in the back. But isn't that pretty? I love that. They sent this fun box that I had to laugh at. It's pink with the zebra print, and it says, "Born free, now I'm expensive." That's my husband was like, "Yeah, you are." So that made me laugh. And inside, Renee made these really really pretty spring. They're thread rings, but with like a really nice keychain. It's got a pink flower and this bird. So now I've showed you, I can finally use it. And they also sent, I think that this is from House of Ming because it looks like her stuff, but this really, really beautiful needle minder. Look at that mermaid. I'm pretty sure this is House of Ming because that looks like her work. I love that. It's got like a pearl on the tail. Her tail is sparkly. The magnets on the back are super strong. Thank you guys so much. That was like, I love, Flosstubers always know when you're having a bad day and somehow manage to send you something just at the right time, always. So I'll show you a little haul now. I forgot in my last video to show you, I did buy something from Market. I got one Market chart and I forgot to show it to you. So I got the Bendy Stitchy Blue Flower Collaboration Friendship Sampler. And like I said, our nursery is donut and ice cream themed. So I don't know. I love this bear holding this donut. That's really what sold me on this. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm definitely going to stitch the sentiment because I think it says good ships and wood ships, ships that sail the sea, the best ships are friendships, may they always be. I think that's really sweet. And I'm definitely going to put that on there. I will either do it like this, top and bottom, and do it as a pillow, or I might do just this one ship and then rechart the words to be smaller if I'm going to frame it to make it smaller, because I have limited space in that room, and already 3 other cross stitches that are scheduled to go on the walls. So, but yeah. I also got, I had some unfortunate online shopping experiences. So I was watching a couple items on eBay and I put a bid on a lot of Cricut collection charts, and I didn't realize until after I got them that I bid on the wrong lot. If I had bid on the other lot, I was expecting one stack of charts, and it was my fault. I bid on the wrong lot because I had been like, both of them were in my watch list, and I got the other. But it was kind of a happy accident because there was a chart in there I've always wanted that I didn't know I was getting. So the downside is I have to keep them in this plastic bag because this is also my fault. I didn't read the description. I knew that they were used charts, I did not read that they were from a smoking friendly home. I don't know why. I guess I don't think to look for that. You know, we have a pet friendly home, so I don't bother to read the descriptions because I don't care if somebody else sends something with like cat hair on it. But it never occurs to me to check for smoking, and these came from a smoker's home, which I should have read the description. Whatever, I'm keeping them separate from all my other stuff in a plastic bag with like a little bit of scented stuff in there to try and air them out. When it gets nicer out, I'll leave them in the sun. No big deal. But so in this lot, I got, there's this Spring Bunnies Chew, which I think I will probably do at some point. It's like a rabbit and a sheep and some bunnies hanging Easter eggs on a tree. This one called Quilting Bee Hearts, which is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a strange chart because it's just a bunch of hearts over and over, but whatever. This Amish humility sampler, that will end up on a freebie table somewhere. This why, it's called Why Is It? And it says, why is it when I'm halfway through, creative joys diminish? It's more fun to start a piece than it ever is to finish. And you're supposed to leave it unfinished with the needle sticking through when you frame it. That's kind of cute. I think Talia, you did this, right? Talia, covered in cat hair, I think, did this. And then, so those charts, I don't know if I'll do them or not, but the charts, you know, the charts that I like that came in the stack were, this is called heraldry, I'm mispronouncing that. Thistles, I love thistles. It comes with an alphabet, so you can do whatever your initial is. You know, there's like crown, and it looks like they have suggestions for a couple of different colorways. And on the back, there's multiple alphabet options. So that's kind of nice. That I might do. And then this is a chart that I've actually had on my wish list for some time. And, you know, it's a happy accident that I ended up with it because I didn't know I was bidding on it. Cricket Collection, A Walk in the Woods. So this one I'll definitely do. I mean, I think I paid $4 for all of these, which is what I would have paid just for this chart anyway, so whatever. But I like this one. Amy Loves Toads, I think she's done this, or she has it, and I've seen this pop up a couple other places. I don't know, it's just really nice. So this one I'll do. The other ones, we'll see. But PSA, read the description when you're bidding on eBay and double check before you click bid. I was feeling really springy, and it was Easter weekend, and everybody was posting pictures of their like bunnies and their flowers, and I just wanted some spring stitching, and I went through my whole stash and there was nothing in there that I felt like starting because I have like nothing. So I was feeling shoppy, and so I ordered a couple spring themed Prairie Schooler charts from Etsy from a seller I had never ordered from before. And I got them quickly, but they were fake. So the second PSA, the first PSA is pay attention to the listing and read all the information. The second PSA is when you're shopping for Prairie Schoolers, be careful. I'm not going to name the shop because on the off chance that this person didn't know they were fake and that this was a one-time thing, I don't want to badmouth somebody who might have just made an innocent mistake. If you are thinking of purchasing from somebody on Etsy and you are wondering if it is the same shop, feel free to message me and I will let you know if it is. What I should have noticed that I didn't notice until after I received them. First of all, I knew they were fake because one, the printing quality was a little off, the paper was a little off. That in itself isn't enough because as you'll see, like with some of my stash, some of the other Hoffman reprints are actually on paper, not cardstock. And some Hoffman reprints, the printing quality is like not great, you know, because they're clearly working with an older file. that they haven't been able to clean up for whatever reason. So it wasn't just that. What alerted my attention to the fact that there was a problem, and this is something to look for, because I recall Teresa Kitten Stitcher talking about getting a chart like this one time. When I looked at the back, where the price tag, the barcode is, there was some sticker residue on it, which isn't a big deal. That happens with used charts. But it wasn't actual sticker residue. It was like the residue was photocopied onto the cardstock. I'll insert a picture. I don't know if you could, it's hard to tell with pictures, but it's very obvious with the naked eye. And of course, when you touch it, there's no residue, and you can see that it is literally printed onto the cardstock. And along the edge of the spine, there was some aging that was also, and then there were some stains that were clearly printed on. And the only way that happens is if you photocopy a chart that has residue or some natural aging or stains on it. So that was what gave it away. And since one had that, I was like, the other one's probably fake too. I sent them back. I got my money back. What I should have looked for, and what I'm trying to tell you, is if I had taken a look at the item history of that shop, I would have seen that that seller had sold over 17 copies of Farm Fresh, which is an out of print chart, since December. That's a lot of copies of a chart that is out of print and hard to find. I did a pretty exhaustive search for that chart on the internet and inquired with a couple LNSs, and it is not very available. Like, I couldn't find it anywhere else online besides this one Etsy store, and they had sold 17 copies. So that should have clued me in that there was something up. So I guess what I'm saying is when you're looking for prairie schoolers, if you're shopping from a seller you haven't purchased from before, either on eBay or Etsy, look at the purchase history, because that particular seller had like over 2,000 sales of only prairie schooler charts, and unless it's a recent reprint, that's odd, right? So that's my PSA. After that happened, I was disappointed, because I had these charts in my possession and I sent them back, and now I really wanted those spring prairie schoolers. So I went to Jen's Stitching Niche, and I was able to order a couple prairie schoolers from her. So one of them was one of the charts that I got boned on, was a spring sampler. And oddly enough, this Hoffman reprint is on paper, not cardstock, and the printing quality actually is not great. You can see the house is a little off. It's still better quality than the fake one I got. But I guess PSA number 3 is sometimes Hoffman prints prairie schoolers on paper. I don't know. I mean, like, I have no doubt this is authentic because it came from Jen, who orders direct from Hoffman and who we all know from Flosstube. We all know Jen, so I have no doubt it's real. I just think it's kind of funny that this is, I never expected to get a prairie schooler on paper. So in any case, I got the spring samplers, which I'm looking forward to starting, hopefully for Maynia. And I also got Sunny Days, which has been on my wish list for a while, and I occasionally see it on eBay, but I got I think a pretty good price from her. These are cute. They're like 2 inches by 2 inches. And I think that's it from purchases. I have a 1, 2, 3 order in the works for some fabric and some floss, but I don't know when that will come. So that's it for retirement planning. Okay, so let's talk about plans. Maynia is upon us. I already spoke a little bit about my plans for that I'm going to work on I'm going to work on my bum bears during the week, and if I complete my goal on that, I will have a new start on the weekend. So let me show you some of the things that I hope to be starting should I achieve my goals. I hope to be starting Sunny Days by the Prairie Schooler. I hope to be starting the Spring Samplers by the Prairie Schooler. I don't know which one, maybe this one or this one. This one says, Dost thou not see the little plants, the little birds, the ants, the spiders, the bees working together? I love the snail and the frog down here. Or I might start the March winds and April showers bring forth May flowers, because I like the bunny with the umbrella. Maybe I'll start both of them. On May 3rd, provided my goals are met, Debbie from Stitch to the Stash and I are starting Blossom by Carolyn Manning Designs. We're both doing it on pink fabric. Two more Prairie Schoolers I hope to start. If I get my fabric from 123, Leah Noel gave this to me last year, Santa and Friends. These aren't that big either. And I'd also like to start some of these prairie birds. I've had this one for a while. These are also 2x2, and what I'd like to do for this is do them all in the same fabric and then hang them on like a little garland across my TV stand. And then finally, if I'm able, I would like to start Calories Don't Count at Christmas. This is a Sue Hillis design. It's got you know, gingerbread and cookies and all that. I've ordered a couple. The called for fabric for this is Angel Blush, which I didn't see available. I have a couple pinks in my stash that I've pulled that might work for this, and then I also ordered a platinum but sparkly from 123 Stitch. So that's platinum is like a gray color, and I got it with like silver spark. They're now selling it in a sparkly version. So that's another option, and I have an opalescent white that maybe I'll use. So I don't know. I'll make a game time decision, but that's the last one I hope to start. So those are my Maynia plans. I'm going to vlog again during Maynia like I have in past years, so I guess you'll watch the action unfold in the future. Okay, so that is everything stitching wise. I've been doing a lot of reading also. I mean, I've been doing a lot of audiobooking while I've been stitching. While I've been home. In April, I listened to the entire Folk of the Air series by Holly Black. So good. Julie, Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, recommended that series. I like magical realism. It's young adult. It's young adult fiction, magical realism. I like magical realism, but she recommended it, and I put it on my library list, and I was like not really sure because I was like, I don't know, fairies. I like magical realism, but I don't know about fairies. That maybe is too much. The first book, I'll admit, I think it drags a little in the beginning. It takes a minute for the major plot twist and like the big plot point of the series to happen. So it took me a little bit of time to get through the first book, but then when the plot twist happened, I was like, what? And I was super hooked until the end of that book. And then for the rest of the series, I tore through it in a couple days. Like when I was reading the last book, have you ever been reading a book and you like it so much? You're reading it for the first time and you're desperate to know how it ends. So you want it, you like can't put it down, but at the same time, you like it so much that you're dreading the fact that it's going to end. And every time you turn a page, you're like, this is so good, but I don't want to finish it. This is so good, but I don't want to finish it. That's what it was like when I was listening to this book. Every time my husband tried to talk to me, I was like, psst, I have to know what happens. Don't talk to me for the rest of the day. Great series. Highly recommend. So thank you, Julie. Right now, I am reading Nightmare Alley by William Gresham for my book club. We were supposed to, this was our March book, we were supposed to read it, and even though nobody's been leaving their house, nobody's read it yet. So this week we're buckling down. We're going to finish reading the book, and we're going to do a Google Hangout on the weekend. So I'm reading that, but I'm only a few pages in, so I'll report back. So far, so good. And for you nonfiction folk, Jenny, Long Dog, I'm reading Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy by Karen Abbott right now, which is a nonfiction book about female spies in the Civil War. And it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm about halfway through. I don't know a lot about the Civil War. I mean, I know vaguely. I know vaguely what it was about, but I grew up in Canada and only did my last couple of years of high school in the United States, so I haven't learned as much about it as maybe somebody who grew up in the U.S. would have. So I find Civil War books interesting because I don't really know a whole lot about the Civil War, and this one is interesting because it's talking about 4 specific women who were very active spies on either side throughout the Civil War, and like the crazy things they did, like hiding information in their hair and like in the hems of their dresses, and how they passed secret messages to like prisoners, and how they helped prisoners escape, just like crazy stuff. So if you're into nonfiction, you might like that. And I think that's everything. This only took me like an hour. Not bad. In any case, I'm going to clean up this mess and have some more coffee, and it's nice out today, so maybe we'll take a very exciting walk. It's funny, we live really close to a cemetery. It's one of the oldest cemeteries in the United States. It's beautiful, and I usually like to walk in there because it's pretty empty, it's quiet, it's got a lot of hills, so you get a good workout. Normally, during my off days, or on the weekends, I would take a short walk through there, but we haven't been able to since the quarantine started because everybody's walking there because none of the parks are open, and they can't go anywhere. Like everybody's taking their kids to the cemetery as if it was a park and going on these long family walks. So we haven't felt comfortable walking in there because it's so crowded. Funny, right? In a weird, maybe not funny, I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. I will see you in June. Take care, guys.